One thing about reselling and being self-employed is inconsistent income. People need to realize that working for an employer, a business or a company, you get a paycheck every week and it's consistent. So welcome to SMPostcards. This whole channel is about reselling postcards on eBay or online at other sites, but mostly eBay. We're going to go through the things here in the agenda. I sold 23 postcards and I had one big order here that we'll go through real quick just to see what people are buying, what the prices I got and stuff like that. And then a special topic, everybody's favorite postcard, Niagara Falls. Probably one of the most produced postcards out there for the less money. But we're going to break that down and see what these Niagara Falls postcards are worth, what's selling, what people are trying to get for them and stuff like that. And you want to stick around for the viewer comments. I didn't put a poll or anything else in here because I got a question from Sandra and asking if I would do a video. It intrigued me so much that I actually redid the whole storyboard for this video just to put that question in here because I really don't have an answer and maybe you can help out, but I will give my opinion about it, but I don't know if I got the answer or if there's a way to get it, but I think I can help with some of the things. So you want to stick around to the end, and I got about 3 or 4 viewer comments, but the first one I broke a bunch of numbers down and we'll try to answer that question for Sandra. Okay, let's go through to what sold real quick. It's really not about the dollars as much as what people are looking for. Some of these cards, I would say they were listed in the last year and a half, a lot of the cards. A lot of the cards in the 13 cards that the one gentleman bought came from that private collection that I got from the gentleman that was moving to Florida, those 8 albums. And I did a video about that whole series. I comped each card, the whole works. And I think that's been a little while ago that I bought that. So with some video magic, I stopped for a second and just take a look. I actually bought that collection 476 days ago. And for a little update here, I've made $1,457 above what I paid. I paid like $1,200 for the whole thing. I think it's $1,300 is what it says here. But I've made $1,457 in a year and a half off of that collection. So I paid for the cost, plus I made $1,457. So a lot of those cards came from there, but it's been 476 days that it's been sitting here. And if you watch my other videos, how long does it take to sell a postcard? Some of these can take, most of them sell, a good percentage, I think 67% sell in the first 16 months. The rest kind of whenever. So they're going to pick out what you want first, and then they're long tail and longer and longer and longer. So it is a long game. You will sell some right away that you list, but the other ones can wait like these are. But let's see what the first one is. This one sold for $765, and this is the Union Station Concourse in Washington, D.C. You heard me, Washington, D.C. Probably one of the highest Washington, D.C. cards I've sold. But if you get the Union Station Concourse, Washington, D.C., and there, I got $765 for that card. So this is 13 cards for $75.45. This order came in today. They bought 13 cards for $75. First one is one of those navy prints, and this is basically a bunch of sailors walking down the street in 1909. There's some writing up here, but the club actually printed this, and I got probably 50 of these cards here, and he picked that up. Next one is Fairy Flips, Norfolk, Virginia, came from that collection. I'll go through these pretty quick here. Atlantic Hotel, Norfolk, Virginia. It's a divided back, posted. So you're starting to see a little theme. Navy, Norfolk, Virginia. This is the Bank of Commerce vertical card, up and down. And divided back, there's the line. Norfolk, Virginia. This is the Virginia Club. This way. That way. And it is posted, and that was posted in 1914. Virginia Club, Norfolk, Virginia. was an interesting one. National Bank of Commerce, Norfolk, Virginia. So he's picking up all Norfolk, Virginia, which is a Navy town. Big bases there. And if you look on the back of this one, this is the bank, National Bank of Commerce, Norfolk, Virginia. And it's got some writing advertisement on the back for there. And it's posted 1928 white border card of the bank. Next one is the lobby and mezzanine of the Monticello Hotel, Norfolk, Virginia. I think the Monticello burned down or something like that. I can't remember. But this one's not posted, but it's got writing on the back. White border card. Next one is the business section in Norfolk, Virginia. So it is Norfolk, Virginia, the whole thing. And this is posted here, and the cancel's off to the side. I can't tell when it was done, but I think it goes this way. That's those business section shots always do pretty well. This is Granby Street in Norfolk, Virginia. I remember this because of all the signs and stuff on the side there. So he got this one, 1960s or 50s. Couldn't really tell, but it's posted crumb card of Granby Street, Norfolk, Virginia. Heart of Norfolk from Bank of Commerce. White border, 1928. Posted. This is an undivided back, bird's eye view of Norfolk, Virginia. Undivided back. There's no line. They only put the address, so it's pre-1907, 1908 on there. And this one is just a picture of Norfolk, Virginia, downtown Portsmouth across the Elizabeth River. Chrome card, probably the 50s. And the last one is Essex Building in Norfolk, Virginia. And look at the telephone poles right in town there. They're just probably starting to put some of those in. Divided back, unposted. So again, that was 13 cards. And they paid $75.45. Now they did get 15% discount for buying more than one card. But I do free shipping, so all that's added into it. Now how, you're probably thinking, that can't go eBay standard envelope because it's 13 cards. And it's going to be over the weight, and it's going to be over a number of items and stuff, and it's over $50 for the total order. Every card by itself would have made it, but the total order is $50, so you can, an eBay standard envelope, each item can't be over $20, and the whole order can't be over $50, and the weight can't be above 3 ounces. And it has not rigid in some of the other things. So this can't go eBay standard envelope, so it's going to go first class on there. And what I'm going to do is I'll take those cards and I'll put each card in a brand new sleeve, so we can put it right in this collection. It'll go in a little Ziploc bag. And I got a ton of these little bubble wrap bags. I got boxes, a couple cases of these things, more than that probably, just for my time of doing stuff. Probably got it from a flea market or something. But I got a bunch of these, and they self-seal, so I'll put them in here after I put them in this for waterproof, and I'll put it in there, and then I will ship in one of these boxes. This is like an 8 by 6 by 1 box. It's really light, and it'll go, so the whole thing is probably not going to be it'll be about 8 ounces. If I put it in an envelope, it would be the same type of thing, but this way, to make sure the post office knows that it's not a flat and they won't take it out or whatever, or too rigid, it goes in a box. I can drop it, put it right in my mailbox. But I used to wrap stuff in cardboard and all that. I found it just easier and time-saving to do these 3 things. So it won't take me long to pack that up and ship it. Next card that sold, this was like a wooden model of something, of some kind of castle. It's a wooden model some guys are putting together. And this sold between $4 and $5. I didn't find much on it if I remember right. It's been in there for a while on the stuff. Next one is one of those prints. This is the Aaron Ward DD-132. It's not the best picture in the world, but that's very old boat, so ship. It'll take a while. We'll see how they like that one. I mean, I have 100% replacement. If they don't like it, because they're buying a flat picture, I can always refund them or send them a different card. But that's the only one I got of the Aaron Ward. So once I get it, sometimes they don't like these prints. They think they're too light. I try to put it in the description, but it's always a gamble. I would say 1 out of 100. Someone will say something and I'll explain what they are. They say, oh, okay. But they just don't read the description. And then next one is Connecticut Mutual Life Insurance Building, Hartford, Connecticut. Another building, divided, and this is an undivided back, and this sold for $565. So not doing bad with buildings today. This was a neat one, Roosevelt Bridge, Lake Texium. I think this is in Texas and Oklahoma. One of those Texas cards I've been putting up. They're filler cards, very minimal research. Just put them in their chromes, and $4 to $5. I didn't pay much for them at all, so I don't do a lot of research. I think I got every view of the Alamo there can be. Alamo this, Alamo that, everything. Next one was 4 cards someone bought for $16.76. So they have the 15% discount as well. And I just did a video on this card here, the St. Augustine postcards. If you haven't watched that video, it talks about St. Augustine. This was that Indian burial mound. You'll probably end up, if you're doing postcards a lot, you've probably seen that card. I've sold that one a couple times. Elephant Butte Dam, Rio Grande Project, Texas. It's got some tanning to it. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way. The yellowing, you can kind of see it there, or whatever. I think it's supposed to be that way, but it's got some stuff on the back. So that one's sold. Conservatory, Chicago, Lincoln Park. That's from all my things. 1912. This was done. Not too bad a shape for 1912. And then this weirdo Fitzpatrick's Cactus Garden, Edinburgh, Texas. The heck is that? It's a linen card. You can tell that from me. I can put it back here and you can tell it's a linen card with the vibrant colors. And linens are not made of linen. They have a rougher texture. They have a look of linen is how they got the name. They got a rougher texture because they started doing that to get the ink to dry faster, and they can use more vibrant inks because it drove faster. Linens probably would have done a little bit better, but chromes came out and kind of took over. So Kurt Tyke and them, who made this one? Doesn't say on there. But linens, that's what happened to linens. A lot of people you love linens or you don't like linens. I sell linens just as much as I sell chromes. But it's got a rag count in there that helps the drying of the vibrant inks and stuff. And then the last one is a boat, semi-gloss matte back. And this one is the Astoria CA34. Taken from a photograph, it looks like. So all total, I had 23 cards sold on eBay. $122.57. So if you take $122.57 divided by 23, it'll give you an average sale price per card. And that was $5.34. Now, even though I gave a 15% discount, and some of these people got the cards for $4.09, $4.10, or whatever, that's fine because I injected cash into my business, and that's called cash flow. If you sell all high-end cards, the long tail ones, you might get 2 sales a week or whatever, and you'll make good money, but it's not a regular cash flow. So that's what these Texas cards and stuff like that do. Those are called filler cards to me. When you have hills and valleys in your sales like we have so far this year, you want to not let them go as deep, so you need some filler cards, some cheaper cards, some things that'll move fast, just to inject some cash and buy them cheap and sell them cheap, and it'll inject some cash. And how do I explain cash flow? I think the easiest way to say is you got to have more coming in than you're going out. And the coming in is all your different revenue streams. So if all your revenue is coming in from postcards, that's your revenue, and you want to inject that cash. But going out, that's your expenses. And that can mean everything from how much you buy, your boxes, your envelopes, the cards you purchased, the bank charges at the end of the month. All that stuff is part of the stuff going out. So you need more coming in than going out. When you first start postcards or reselling, a lot of times for a while, it's very inconsistent. So it takes a while to build up. Especially postcards, 6 to 8 months you want to do it, learn about stuff, and see what it's going to do for you. But if you get more coming in than going out one month, save that little bit of that money for the next month, because you never know. One thing about reselling and being self-employed is inconsistent income. People need to realize that working for an employer, a business or a company, you get a paycheck every week and it's consistent. With reselling, it's market dependent, it's people dependent, seasonal dependent. all that stuff. So it's inconsistent revenue is part of being unemployed. And a lot of people that have LLCs and stuff pay themselves a regular paycheck when they get so big. So it takes a while. So, but inconsistent sales and stuff is part of the game. I look at it from a month, quarter, 6 month, and then to the end of the year. If I'm not making my goal, my budget by the 6th month, I've got to make changes right then, because if you get into the 7th, 8th, 9th month and you haven't made any changes, it's too hard to catch up. So you want to catch up as early as possible, but I don't look at it really day to day for trends. I look for more quarter, 6 month type thing and end of the year, and kind of look at last year, but it's just different things. But that's what's sold. Norfolk, Virginia. When you get themed cards, people come in and buy them. Now let's get into these awesome cards. That's sarcasm. Niagara Falls postcards. I know Popeye, he always talks about Niagara Falls. They're just so abundant. I don't think he hates the place. It's just that there's so many different Niagara Falls postcards, or so many of the same one, and you see them all the time, and they don't sell as well as people think. Now there is some that might do better, the older ones, or a different view in there, but majority, as you'll see here, can be a struggle. Now I'm going to go through and give you some facts about Niagara Falls, and while I do this like I normally do, I'm going to show you some of the postcards that I picked out and put it across the screen so you can just see what they are. Now somewhere in all of the waterfalls there, I think there's a couple of the town or something like that in there too. So it's also Niagara Falls, New York is a town. So you'll get that in your queries as well. Then we're going to go through pricing and just see. And what is, I found some higher price cards, if you want to call them higher price. And we'll get into that. But stick around. I got that one comment that just intrigued me, and I put some numbers together, and that'll be right after the Niagara Falls part of the video. Niagara Falls is a group of 3 waterfalls located on the border between the United States and Canada. That's that country to the north of us. The falls are named Horseshoe Falls, American Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls. Horseshoe Falls, also known as Canadian Falls. So if you hear Canadian Falls and Horseshoe Falls, I guess it's the same thing. It's the largest and most famous of the 3 falls. It is located on the Canadian side of the border and measures 2,600 feet. And for the metric people, 792 meters in width. American Falls is located on the American side, makes sense, of the border and measures about 1,060 feet or 323 meters in width. It is known for its massive volume of water flow, especially during periods of high water levels. Bridal Veil Falls is the smallest of the 3 falls and is also located on the American side. So we got 2, Canada has 1, but they got the biggest one. It measures around 56 feet, 17 meters wide, and is separated from American Falls by Luna Island. Niagara Falls is formed by the Niagara River, which drains Lake Erie into Lake Ontario. The falls have been popular tourist attractions for over a century, drawing millions of visitors each year. The height of the falls varies between the different sections. Horseshoe Falls has a height approximately of 167 feet, or 51 meters, while American Falls around 70 feet, or 21 meters high. Niagara Falls is not only famous for its beauty, but also for its power. The falls have a massive water flow rate with an average of 3,160 tons of water flowing over the falls every second. The first person to successfully go over Niagara Falls in a barrel and survive was Annie Edison Taylor on October 24th, 1901. Since then, several others have attempted similar stunts with varying degrees of success. The falls are illuminated at night, creating a breathtaking display of colors. Powerful lights are used to illuminate the falls in different shades, providing a mesmerizing view for visitors. And there's some postcards with that on there. I think I might have one in the thing. Niagara Falls has been featured in numerous films, television shows, and books, and becoming a symbol of natural beauty and power. It continues to captivate people from around the world with its awe-inspiring spectacle. So there is a lot to see at Niagara Falls. We went there probably 35 years ago. It is so, I mean, every space is filled with something to get your money. It is so commercialized. The whole thing. We stayed in a hotel right out of town, and it was, in so many words, disgusting. And town's a little better, I guess. But we were young, we didn't know. Had my first daughter with us, and she slept in the suitcase just to make sure she was safe. It was just a weird place to stay. We didn't stay but one night because we were tired. But we got to see the falls, the mist, and we walked around and did all the stuff. But we didn't stay as long as we wanted. It was just so many people in there. But it was really neat to see, though. But it's a one-time trip, I think, for people. But some people love it or hate it. But how do these things, the sell-through rate? And remember, sell-through rate is how I calculate it for all postcards. I do the same for them all, so they're all on the playing field. I'm not putting them up against toasters and DVDs. I'm saying, you know, this is what I do with postcards, and you'll see here in a second. But you take sold divided by listed, times it by 100, and that 100 just makes it a percent, easier to read, and I round up or down to the next whole percent. So I did postcard space Niagara space Falls. And of course I got a few things in there. I kind of took that out of the query. But that's basically the query. And I found 971 sold. And there's 29,000 listed. Times it by 100 gives you a 3% sell-through rate. Now remember, QSL cards, the lowest thing that I don't do was 2%. This is just right above QSL cards to me. But I bumped it up against some other ones. And I was pretty picky about what I picked here, because I wanted to pick tourist attractions or something site. I didn't want to do it against Montana, Illinois, New York. So here's the ones I picked. Postcard Fort Knox, 7% sell-through rate. Yellowstone was 7%. And Postcard Hollywood, which is on the other side of the nation, U.S., 6%. And of course the Grand Canyon, 6%. So everything's 6% and higher, and at the bottom there in red is Niagara Falls at 3%. That just tells you, if you have Niagara Falls cards, I don't think it really matters what price you put on them. They are going to sit longer than Fort Knox, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, and a lot of your other cards. They're going to be filler cards. They're going to take a long time to sell, if they sell. Just like QSL cards. Certain ones would sell, but most of them don't. Same with Niagara Falls. And we're going to see that in a second. So these are not sought after cards for me. I pick up like the ice caves for a while and some of the night scenes, but I don't list them anymore. I've got so many of them. Have I sold some? Sure. But I think they've been in there for a long time. So these are not fast movers. And this is not about price. This is about the number of cards moving through the eBay system. And 3% of the ones listed are sold in this time period. I believe it's 90 days. But I went out and I wanted to find some high price cards. And usually I find some really good RPPCs or something to put on this video. These are the highest ones I found. This one here is Horseshoe Falls from 1917. Took an offer on $29.95, maybe $25. I don't know what exactly. I didn't look and see on Terapeak. You can actually go into Terapeak and put this title in and actually see what they sold it for. So you can't see it in eBay. You can go over to Terapeak, which is the resource tool at the top of your seller hub. Go to resource and then Terapeak if you have that level of store. But $25 for a 1970 postcard. Not a bad thing. I don't know how many of those are sold. Oh, just sold a postcard. I sold a photo, not a postcard, one of those naval ship photos. USS Porter DD-800 from World War II, and it sold for $465. Sold another one. The next one is a helicopter. It's kind of a cartoonish thing with Mickey Mouse and Disney, and that sold for $29.95. So what do you think sold it, Disney or Niagara Falls? I think Disney is what sold this card. That's why I put it in there. So both of these cards, $25, $30. So if you get Disney on Niagara Falls, probably have a good chance of selling it. The other one, I think it's just because it's older. and stuff like that. But that's the highest ones I observed. Now let's get down to earth and see what these other ones are. Sold high. These are 3 sold high cards that I picked out. So I just go in and do a search on Niagara Falls, and I pick sold and show me the highest to lowest. This top one is an RPPC. Even an RPPC was only $20. And this is some police officers in Station City. I would have pushed that one up a little bit more with the police officers and stuff maybe. But that's sold in March. Then you got this other one. The Legend of the White Canoe. I've seen so many different names about this. Looks like a really heavy embossed card of the Legend of White Canoe. I think I've sold this card, but I didn't get $19 for it, so they did pretty good on this one. But you're going to see here in a minute a lot of these Legend of the White Canoes. It's some lady going through, there's a whole story about it. It's an Indian story. And then this is the same one with the Horseshoe Falls that I showed in the higher price one. I put that in there just to show you the highest price ones are still in, they're just normal high price cards on the Horseshoe Falls. So they're not killer cards. Some of these do sell, but I think that policeman one would have been interesting to research a little bit more. Even though I'm not a big researcher, that one would intrigue me to do a few things. So then you look at the sold low, and a lot of people send me questions all the time about this. How can we compete against these $1.99? You don't. You can't. If you're there to make money and worth your time and stuff, you can't sell cards at this level. A lot of these are auctions. They'll put 1,000 auctions up every week and just keep a couple thousand cards, 3, 4, 5,000 cards a week, and just keep rolling them through and keep running them. And then when they don't sell, they'll lot them up. So a lot of these are new people and stuff like that. I don't even look at them. I don't even consider them in any of my prices. I don't know how they do in search. I've heard different things that they don't show. But if you price it at that level, I think the bottom level with eBay fees, basic store, somewhere $1.25, $1.20 is where you break even. You're zero. You made no money, you lost no money. Somewhere around there with that eBay fee calculator I was playing around with, I think I ended up with $1.15, $1.20. There's no money. And that's what I try to tell people and help them out. You need to raise it up. Just like on Whatnot. Used to go in there all the time. And Whatnot is that auction thing if no one knows what that is. Oh, another one sold. Nope, they paid for the last one. So you don't get the stars. You only get stars when they sell. But paying is good too. But Whatnot used to have the dollar starts and stuff like that. Most people now don't do a lot of dollar starts, I don't believe. I haven't watched Whatnot in a while. I think they start higher because they know they even if it sells for the minimum, they have to get at least break even. But selling these cards like this in there, so we got $1, $1.50 and 99 cents for these cards. And I won't get too much detail, I've done that before. Then we get into the listed ones. And I've got a little information I went out and looked at. The top one there, 1902 Franklin stamp. I don't know what's going on, people thinking these Franklin stamps. Tom, the stamp judge, that you've seen a couple videos about, says those Franklin stamps are basically like the Forever stamps today. Unless I'm wrong, I'm not a stamp person, but I got to get Tom back this year sometime. Probably after summer I'll ask if he can come in and address and talk about stamps on postcards, what to look for, what are the myths people think about them, and what his take on that is. And he's very good at orating all that stuff. So I'll talk to him this summer and see if we can get him back to talk about, the cancels and the backs of postcards for an hour or so. But if you got any questions for Tom to do that, let me know and I can get a list together for him and add it to my stuff. But I see this all the time. Franklin stamp, Washington stamp. What does that mean? I'm not a stamp person. Nothing against it. I just never got into stamps. If anybody out there, I know Stephen does stamps and some other people. Is this something or is it just smoke and mirrors? But this is the whirlpools. Now the whirlpool, I got a few notes here. The rapids, there's 1,000 of these type cards with rapids listed, 43 sold, So it's only a 4% sell-through rate. So that's a little about an average sell-through rate of the rapid ones. And they only sell between $3 and $4. Next one is the Clifton House, and they got it listed for $449. I looked for the Clifton House. There's 20 listed with the name Clifton House Niagara Falls, 0 sold. So you don't even look at what's out there listed. You need to look at what's sold. So if there's a whole bunch listed, say a dozen, 2 dozen listed of the Clifton House, but none of them have sold, I wouldn't be chasing the highest price. Why haven't they sold is your question. And so the sell-through rate is 0. $449 and none of them sold. So that's a trigger to me that it's an average card. Then here's the Legend of the White Canoe, this Indian lady, Native American lady going down the waterfalls. You'll see a lot of these out there. And the Legend of the White Canoe, there's 34 listed, 7 sold, and it has a 17% sell-through rate. But they only sell between $4 and $5. So they are one of the Niagara Falls cards that, if you get them, I would list them, but they're not going to sell for $10, $20, $30 like some of these people, or $57, $50 here. They're not going to sell for that when there's so many out there for $3 to $4. Then we get into listed low, 99 cents, $1.50, and the bottom one, that's the Aero car. I always list Aero cars, trams, incline railroads. Aero cars are cool to me. Airboats are cool. Zeppelins are cool. But that card there, I would bump up. But if you look at this middle one there, it's almost like the picture of the we just talked about with the Rapids and the Whirlpool. $1.50, and they wanted $462 for the other one. There's no comparison. You can't comprehend all that. So I don't even look at these low ones. They're not making money. They're not going to be there long, and stuff like that. That's Niagara Falls. To sum them up, they're not I don't look for them. They're kind of like Cypress Garden flower ones to me, QSL cards. If I get a white box and I see a lot of Niagara Falls section in there, I know if it's over 40%, that box I really don't want, because I'm not going to do anything with them. I'm just going to rebox them and sell them, so I'd rather jump to the next box. It's just, they don't sell well. Some of them do, but I'm not looking. So if I'm looking through a box and it has New York and there's the Legend of White Canoe one in there, I'll keep it. But if there's the Whirlpool, maybe I'll keep that. But like the Clifton House, probably not. I wouldn't even notice it. Disney, Niagara Falls, yeah. So to sum it up, do what you want with them. You can list them, filler cards. I don't think they're not a top card on my list to look at. Is Niagara Falls. That's Niagara Falls. Leave your comments below about those stamps, Franklin and Washington. Who knew? Now, I didn't do a poll this time or anything else. I did just, we're going to jump right into viewer comments. As I was putting this whole video together for Niagara Falls, Sandra came in and asked me a question that kind of intrigued me. And I appreciate people leaving comments because it makes me think and what I can do. So we're going to hit that comment first. And I got some graphs here. I'm going to show you some numbers and kind of dig into them. I didn't get real deep into them, so some of the information might be a little new to me as well, but we're going to walk through and see if we can help answer some of Sandra's question here, and leave it in the comments if you see something that I don't, because I don't think I can answer it 100%, but I can answer most of it. To a point, I can guide you, Sandra, in the right question, but I'm going to give it a shot here. So Sandra came and said, would you consider doing a video on different types of postcard buyers? Who pays more? How to cater to and track each one? Is it worth to provide more than 2 images? So let me break this question down. So the price part, who pays more and stuff, we're going to get back and get to in just a second. I'm going to skip over that one for right now. But let's go to different types of postcard buyers. So I brain dumped here, and you can add to this in the comments. I figured there's collectors, you know, people that collect postcards, they're collecting all trains or whatever, collectors. There's always collectors. And then there's nostalgic people. Hey, my mom and dad took me to that restaurant when I was young, and they're no longer here, or they're here and they just want to do memories, or they're doing Christmas cards with it. So those are your nostalgic type people. that just have a good memory of the place. They lived in that town and they're buying the postcard. And post buy sometimes. Then you got your history researchers, people that like to do researching on history and just like that type of stuff, the librarian type people that get into the genealogy part of it. So you got people like that. Then you got resellers like us, most of us. We're looking for a deal. We're looking for certain cards that we know sell. You got your scrapbookers and your crafters. Those are the ones that take them and cut them up and do different things like that. You got your teachers that use them in classrooms for teaching props and stuff. You got your military people that buy the military cards. I know with all the naval, thousands of naval ship that I got, that's a big thing for me, is the military part in there. So those are some of the types of postcard buyers. And we're going to get into the pricing, but how to cater and to attract each one. That's what I kind of struggled with, because I'm not for sure who just bought, say they bought this card, who that person is or what he does, because I don't get that. I don't go back and forth with the buyers asking them those questions. So that's how do you cater and attract to each one. So collectors is be a good seller, have a good variety, have prices that they'll pay. Collectors will pay a little bit more. Nostalgic people, just have a variety of cards, quantity on there. History researchers, get some older cards in there. Clear scans so they can see the cancels and see what's on there. Resellers, lot them up, give them some discounts. Someone wants to make an offer, that's what they're looking for, is price per card. Scrapbook and crafters, use all your other stuff. How to cater to those people is any of your damaged cards. I have a bucket right here under my desk. Right now it's empty, but any cards that as I go through and list, I don't want to list, I just take and throw them in here. Like I did enough of these. They just go inside this thing. When this is full, I put them in a box, and I have a gentleman at the flea market that'll buy them by the box. I don't know what he does with them and stuff like that, but I'll get $10, $20 a box. I really don't care, because they're just, I'm not going to do anything with them. So I just put them in the bucket, I toss it under there. When it's full, it does that. And your crafters and scrapper, that's how I cater to him. Teachers, it's just a variety. And military, so like me with the naval ships, I have a good variety of naval ships, a lot of them. So they're going to come in, word gets out, it's in Google, they put their ship name in, and it takes them in there. And once they're in there, everything is sorted. How I cater to them is everything's sorted by alphabetical. So naval ships A through E, naval ships F through H, stuff like that. So they can search easy in there, and they can search through the store and find them. So anything naval ship related goes into those buckets, and they can find them. So that's how you can cater to, is make it easy for them. Give them a discount if they buy more than one. They love discounts. That's how you cater to them. Make it easy for them. Make it so there's no thinking. The less thinking, the faster they'll click to buy. You gotta get them into your store, to your listing, and click the buy button. How do you get them there? You gotta get them to click that. Good price, good pictures, good service. I guess good feedback and stuff like that. I don't put too much stock in feedback. Now, the other question is it worth providing more than 2 images? Postcards, you get the front and you get the back. There's no side, top, or bottom, because they're just in there. I think what she's talking about is like a zoom in there. Now, if there's a certain part of a postcard that you want to zoom in on, you can do that, or on the back, especially with the cancel. And if you scan like 600 DPI and lower, they can actually zoom in themselves, or they can ask you questions. I do not go back and do that unless it's very, very special. I scan all the cards at once. I got probably 5-6 boxes scanned up already in order to my folder, so I don't go back and rescan them unless there's something wrong with the scan, and I'll have it on and real quick I'll do it. Very rarely. And one of the reasons is I don't think myself it's going to do that much more than what they see. They'll ask questions. Collectors really will ask questions. But there's time involved in rescanning cards and messing with them. I can give you an example. Now, a lot of people say they like doing this, so the time doesn't cost anything. But there is, you got to always keep in your mind, there is a cost to your time. You can do other things to make your business better if you weren't doing all of this. Time per cards to rescan. So if I went through and I rescanned my cards and added some scans as I was doing them, and say I put a cost, I always use $15 an hour. Some people want less or more, but I'm just using the arbitrary numbers. So let's say the rescan, it is costly, and you'll see why here in a second in my head. Let's say I take $15 an hour is what I figure my time is worth doing postcards. I divide that by 60, and that gives me 25 cents per minute. Every 4 minutes equals $1. So just think about that. You make $15 an hour, you divide it by 60, every minute's a quarter, and every 4 minutes is $1. If you spend only 4 minutes per card, then you're spending $1 to prepare that card and everything. And I think everybody spends at least 2 to 3 minutes per card. I don't think there's anything less than that with the scanning and all that stuff. So if you're spending about 4 minutes per card, you have $1 of labor time. And sometimes it's hard to track on there. So I don't add photos. So I try to touch the cards 4 times. I touch it when I buy it. I touch it when I scan it. Touch it when I list it. And I touch it when I sell it. Very special cards go into a special folder that get better treatment, stuff like that. But that stack right now only has about 10 cards in it. All these other cards, I try to touch as less as possible. That way, I'm not spending that money. I can spend the time on researching the cards that are giving me more money. So no, I don't do extra photos. I think it defeats the purpose of my time. And I don't know if there's a benefit to have all in there. So they get front and back. And make sure the scanner has the border on there if you want, and it's calibrated right so they look right. And I don't retouch photos and stuff like that. They get what they get, and so far it's working. No one's screaming at me and I'm selling postcards. I don't think that would be a magic thing or make any different. And you're going to see why here in a second. A lot of people think very small. Like there's one thing in the algorithm that can make me sell more cards than anybody else. There's one thing I can do. There's not. And you're going to see how big this boat is and how big eBay is. The world is can look at your stuff. And a lot of people think the guy next to him is controlling the market, or that 1.99 card. That's not how it works. And you're going to see that here in a second. I went through eBay, and there's a place in eBay that you can put in a price range that you want to look. So I just put the word postcard in, typographical postcards or whatever, and I put the prices in, as you're going to see here on these screens. And we're going to walk through these screens, and you're going to see how big the postcard world is. Now remember, these numbers only came at the time and from my system when I queried it. If you went out and queried it an hour later, you might get different numbers. So this is just more of an approximate of what I see on eBay. And I did it a couple times just to make sure, and the numbers pretty well were there in the ballpark. A few changes, but not much to went there. We're going to look at sell-through rate on the different price ranges. So I broke them down. I did the 1 cent to 99 cent. And look at this chart here. It just blows everything away. And actually, it's above, sell-through rate's above 100, which really shouldn't be. But the query that eBay gave me, there was more cards sold than listed. So that's why it's over 100. And what I did going forward is I took the penny to 99 cent out, because it just skews up, it messes up the chart and all the averages we're going to talk about. So going forward, you're going to not see that, and we're going to come back at the end and I'll give you some numbers about that. I think that's a special category in itself anyway. And so we'll come back to this slide in a second, but I did take the penny to 99 cent out. So let's walk through here. This slide is basically postcard. Anything with postcard in the title, how many are listed out there in the different price ranges. So the first one on the left, there's 310,000 between the $1 and $1.99 price range. So there's 310,000 cards. And then the way the chart, the $10 to $10.99 shows up next, there's 220,000 cards there. And then So in those two areas there, not a lot in the $1.99, but you get to 2 to 2.29. There's a million, then a $3 to $4, 4 to 5, as you see, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. And if you look at that, where are the majority of the cards listed in the price ranges? 2 to 3, 4 to 5 have 1 million plus cards listed. Your next one falls in at the 5 to 6. So I would say between $3 and $6 is where majority of the cards are listed on eBay. And then you get down to the end with the higher price cards like that 10 to 10.99, which is the second bar there. Just the way the label did, it should be all the way to the right. 220,000. So what that tells me, a lot of people are listing cards between the $2 and $6 range, and not a lot of people are listing in the higher ranges. So the total listed in these price ranges of all this, 6,920,000 postcards. So if you're thinking I control anything on postcard selling on eBay, you're crazy. With 6.9 million postcards listed, to turn that boat, no, it has no impact. Very minor. It takes a lot of me to make a change with that many and the changes. Then you get into how many are sold in each price category. So again, we've got the $1.99 on the left, that 10, we'll talk about the 10 there in a minute. Which one has the most sold? The $2 to $3 range. The next one was the $1 to $1.99, and that's your auction people. And then you get up to the $4, the $5. That's my niche in that area with the chromes and divided backs. So your first one is 2 to 3, $1 to $2, and then 4 to 5. And then it goes 3 to 4, so in that area there. But the highest price range that sold postcards is 2 to 3. Your lowest one is 10 to 11. And we just talked about cash flow a little bit. So the people in 2 to 3 has probably got a good cash flow coming in, but they don't have a lot going to the bottom line unless they sell a lot of quantity. Your people between $3 and $6 there are doing some good cash flow, and they are putting stuff to the bottom line. Your people at the front, the $1 to $2, they're selling, doing all the work, but they ain't making no money at the end. So they're doing the quantity thing, but they're making piddly compared to everybody else. They're working harder too. So you don't want to be there. And then the $10 people, they're making money, they're making good profit, but they're not getting the cash flow coming in every day. They might sell 100 cards a month, but it's spread out between days. It's not like getting a ka-ching daily that the $3 to $6 people are getting, or the people at 2 to 3. Those people are getting ka-chings, but the $10 people are getting more profit, and that's what the end game is. So if you can wait, and you don't have high expenses, and you have the cards that you can do those, I would probably say from $7 to $10, $11 cards, that's a good place to be. A little more research, a little bit more questions, and stuff like that, but you'll get more profit. But if you can't wait, you need the cash, you got bills and stuff you got to pay, you got to have some cash flow, I think you still need some cards between the $4 and $8 range. But 2 to 3 is the winner on number of cards sold. If you want to push stuff, put it in the 2 to 3 category. Numbers tell me this, not me. What is the sell-through rate for each of these price categories? So the highest one is $1 to $2. Of course, people are going to do it by price. That's your auction people. Your next one is your $2 to $3. 13% sell-through rate. Like I said, if you want quick cash, put your cards between 2 and 3, and it might help. I'm not guaranteeing it would, but these are just numbers that help make you make a decision. Data gives you the information to make a better decision if you didn't have it. The more information you got, the better decisions you can make. Educated decisions. And then if you look at all the other ones, from $3 all the way up to $10, they're about average, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. So the sell-through rate in all those other categories are about 5 to 6%. The big difference is 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. And then your $10 to $11 range went up just a little bit, so that's got a bigger sell-through rate. I think you're getting some better cards, your RPPCs, your real photo postcards and stuff like that. So that's going to help that sell-through rate. But I would still throw all those into the same thing. Is the sell-through rate, price is not really moving the sell-through rate as much as I thought it would in the categories between $3 and $7. So, and I went and I broke down my store to the same price thing, and I fall into the same area. So these numbers kind of line up with my, because the majority of my cards are $4 to $5, and it lines up with that category there of 5%. So I'm right there with it on there. But look at that sell-through rate on there. So is price really the big thing here, or is it the subject on the card? That's what I get out of this. And then you're saying, well, what about the dollars? So I was able to pull the dollars. Just, I went and I took each price range and I took the middle of it. So if it was $2 to $3, I said $2.50. If it was $4 to $5, I said $4.50, and I times it by the number of cards sold on that other screen. So I took the medium price. So this is just an estimate, but look at that, $2 to $3 in the 90 days. I'm pretty sure that's the number that eBay gave me when I query eBay. They give me 90 days. $2 to $3 range. They sold on eBay $325,000 of $2 to $3 postcards. The next one was the 9 to 10. Of course, your dollars are going to be higher as you go to the right of the scope of the chart. So $304,000. Now, where in here is the $4 to $5 range that I sell a lot into? $234,000 worth of postcards were sold. The 5 to 6, $236,000, and then and so on. So this screen here is out of each price range, $2 to $3, $3 to $4, 5 to 6. What sold the most? So I wanted to put that there. Now the total sold altogether with all these price ranges was $534,600 worth of postcards in 90 days. So if you take 534,600 times 4 quarters, 4 90-day periods, $2,138,400 in gross sales eBay will have just in the postcards that I did the queries here with. And again, if you're thinking one person, one seller can control this or make that big of a swing to move this boat, this postcard boat, it's not going to happen. It takes a lot of movement. It takes a lot of stuff to move a market like that. So it's not one seller owning a certain category or anything like that on there. And that $2.1 million in just postcard sales, one card at a time. Then you say, well, let's talk about how many cards a day you sell. Because my goal this year is to sell 14 cards a day, $70 a day in sales, and increase my average sale price. As you've seen today, I was able to do that no problem with $122 in sales. And my average sale price went up, and I sold 23 cards. Tomorrow, I might not do that. But let's see what the average cards sold. Since I know how many sold in the category, let's divide it by 90. Look at this, 2 to 3. That $2 to $3 price range is winning. It's 1,444 cards a day that it's selling. But look at all the other ones. It's pretty flat. The 3, the 4, 4 to 5 is the next biggest one, except for that $1.99, which I really don't look at. But look at the $3 to $6 range are your next ones, $500 or 500 cards as a whole on eBay. Not just me selling. I'm not selling 500 cards a day. This is eBay for a 90-day period. So it's kind of flat again. So there's really not a big difference in the price range. So the total average postcard sold on eBay with all these price ranges that I did is 6,000 a day. So eBay, with the query I did here, eBay is selling 6,000 postcards a day on there. So these are numbers. You can go back in YouTube and look at the screens, and I kind of walk through it. But what I get out of this, price doesn't have the big a play that I thought it did, is what I'm thinking, because everything's pretty well flat on sell-through rate. If we go back to that screen, the sell-through rate is the same across majority of it. It does, price does have a big play, but it's not as big as I kind of thought. And the number of cards sold in the areas, that $2 to $3 one is a sweet spot, I guess. But you got to buy these cards really cheap to even do that on there. You got to sell a lot. You got to have quantity. And if you're moving to higher price cards, just remember your cash flow won't be as, your ka-chings probably won't come as quick, but your bottom line profit is going to be higher because you're paying the same for the card, but you're pricing up. But there might be some other cards in here that are cheaper for them to get. So it's a different market, different niche, but people are very successful in that area. I wouldn't take a $10 card and price it to $60 and then expect it to sell, and then say eBay's not, you're not selling good on eBay. So you got to have some kind of filler cards, I think, $4 to $8 cards, $4 to $6 cards in there too to make the valleys not as steep. Let's go back and revisit this 99-cent thing on this graph. So I took it out when I did it because it was just, look, you can't see anything because it just overwhelms. It's just crazy. So I took it out. There's 60,000 of these listed in that price range. And there were 60,000 sold. 67,000 sold. So those were the numbers during this period. Or it was 744 cards a day at the penny to dollar cards. For total dollars in the 90-day period was $33,500. So they do have a part of the market, and they're selling 744 cards a day through eBay total, but they're only making $33,500 gross sales. And by the time it gets to the bottom line, there's nothing going to be left with the time, the products, the whole works. So that's just something there. So I don't even look at those left ones there, the penny to dollar. I can't compete with it. I don't even try. I don't worry about it. And I don't go after the real high ones either. I throw that out, I throw the other one out. I work in the middle where it's been flat. Sandra, to go back to your question, different types of postcard sellers, I think we gave you an idea to look at. Who pays more? I think collectors would. Is who's going to pay more. And how to cater? If you're doing average cards and stuff like that, quantity rules. If you're doing RPPCs, hard to find cards, they'll sell themselves. But how to cater to them? Good pictures, customer service, quantity, good variety, get followers in your store and stuff, promote yourself and stuff like that, and don't give the house away. Give a fair deal. If you want to go after the lower price people, then that comes with baggage. You're going to get some of the baggage that some of those lower price people do. If you stay in the middle, you usually don't have a lot of problems, and the higher end people are collectors. They're going to ask you a lot of questions sometimes or be a little more pickier, but most of them are pretty cool. Everybody in the postcard world, most customers are fine. It's just that one or two here and there. And that's one reason I don't do best offer on things. I don't want to get into that market of my best price is out there. I don't do a lot of promoting. I don't do a lot of sales. I don't do a lot of coupons. I do the 15% volume discount. I do send offers. That's about it. So I can keep my prices low, and I can, we want to say, undercut some of the other people. But with that many cards, it really doesn't matter. A lot of people don't search, but I can keep my price cost lower because my costs are lower. And is it worth it to provide more than one image? I don't think so. But other people can jump in, but I don't do the zoom-ins and stuff like that. It's a front and back for me. I touch it 4 times. Buy it, sell it, list it. Or buy it, scan it, list it, sell it. And then it's $1 for every 4 minutes that you're working with a card. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you got any more questions about that, and we'll see. But it intrigued me. I appreciate it, Sandra. And I hope I didn't confuse people about all those charts. If you got any questions, just let me know. But let me run through a couple. I threw some other, since we just did all that geek stuff, let me throw 3 more real quick comments here. So Hamburger Done, nice name. Hello, how do you clean your musky cards? Can you show us your ozone box or UV box setup? Also, how faded, discolored a card must be before you dump it? I can answer both of those. So the first thing is, I don't do a lot with UV at all. I don't have one of those. Ozone, I do have one. I've used it in the past. I had action figures that had smoke smell or some cards, but I've come to believe I can't ever get all that stuff out of a card, so it goes in the bucket underneath the desk. If it's a whole box of it, I just tape it back up and sell it to the guy at the flea market. I don't mess with them anymore. I don't care what's in there. I just don't mess with them. It's a change to what I've done before. I used to do a little more with them. Anymore, I just don't deal with it if I get musky and smoky cards. The ozone thing that I use was this one right here. It's from Amazon. It's ozone generator. And man, the price went up. I think I got mine for like $30 a couple years ago, 3 years ago. It's at $52. Got a little timer. All I did was put a box. I got an eBay box, taped it, put the thing in there, whatever, make sure they're loose and stuff. Poke a hole in the side and plug the tube in there and turn it on. You don't want to use it in your house and stuff. That often you're going to do a lot. It did help a little bit. If it's not real bad, it might take it out a little bit. Couple, 3-4 times doing that. But I don't think it's the end all. I just think that the smell is going to stay there. But that's my UV side. There's nothing to look at, and I break the box down after I do it. So I haven't used it in a while. I did it with some stuff I got at an auction, and it did not take it out of the paper, so in the garbage they went. How faded and discolored a card must be before you dump it? I'm pretty picky, and I probably dump more than I should, but I sell it to the guy at the flea market. If I wouldn't buy it for the price I'm putting in there, I don't sell it. If there's going to be any questions about a card, and I don't have one right here, any questions that'll come back, I don't list it. If it has all that album stuff on the back, I don't list it. I don't care what the card is. I don't want the questions. I don't want the conversations. I'm at the point in my reselling career, I don't want to deal with all that. So, but if something does slip through, I'll take care of it. If it has just a corner tear, I put corner tear. If it has a little bit of tanning, I'll put some tanning. But my condition statement covers a lot of that. And if they don't like the card, I'll just refund them. I have no questions asked, free returns, refunds. I'm never worried about that at all. I hope that answered your questions. Thanks, Hamburger. Stephen Hulton says, wearing a hat like that, why would that lady need an umbrella? And he's talking about the Merry Widow hat in this postcard here. I'm with him. Yeah, why would she need an umbrella? Probably to hold the hat. I mean, a big wind comes along, it's going to go. Thanks, Stephen. And then Mary T says about the Merry Widow hat, too. First time I heard of that term, Merry Widow, I never knew what it was. I thought it was about funerals or something. I had no idea either, Mary. That's why I did the video. Now we're all experts on them. Thanks for the info. I bet there are some cards listed that the sellers don't know the terminology. Might be titled Huge Hat. Yeah, I did see it out there. And people were calling the little hats Merry Widow hats, and they weren't. Since I know a little bit about them now. I see some discrepancy, but you're right, Mary. Sometimes misspellings, other words and stuff like that, you can find some good cards if you want to go get them off of eBay and resell them. I don't do a lot of that. Sometimes I might look through and I might end up typing it wrong myself, something pops up, but I agree, Mary, that this could happen. It was a lot of information. I hope you got something out of it, and it helped me understand the price ranges and where I think I'm okay where I'm at. I'm not going to be moving anytime soon. $4 to $5 on my average cards is fine. Average cards equals quantity. Hard to find cards, your real photos and stuff like that, sell themselves. You price them as you see fit. But the average cards, quantity rules. And you do it one card at a time. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.